Hello and welcome to the STEAM IELTS lesson on the introduction to the IELTS listening test. My name is Mariana Petrovic and I'm a co-founder of Team IELTS. Thank you for visiting teamielts.com and accessing this lesson. Make sure you access our other resources, including vocabulary and grammar packs, other lesson packs, and our blogs to help you with your IELTS test preparation. Please remember to follow us on social media. Let's have a look at how this lesson works. It lasts for about 10 minutes, and you can work through it at your own pace, and you can pause whenever you need to. During the lesson, I will be asking you to do some practice exercises, so you might wish to get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. And remember, you can stop or pause the lesson during these exercises whenever you wish. Before we look at the program, just to remind you that the majority of IELTS tests will now take place directly onto the computer. It is important that you know which way you will be tested. So in this lesson, we are going to have a look at the format of the listening test in detail. We'll see the question types used. I'll mention the skills being tested. I'll show you typical scenarios and contexts for all 4 parts. There will be tips shared for effective listening. And yes, there will be a short quiz at the end just to check how much you remember. And I'm going to switch my camera off now so we can focus better on the lesson, and I'll switch it back on again at the end. Okay. So here is some general information about this section of the IELTS test. There are 4 parts, and the recording is about 30 minutes long. There are 10 questions in each part, making a total of 40 questions. Now let's see what you will hear on the recording. Well, what do you notice here? Yes, the number of speakers will change. It starts with 2 speakers in part 1. Then we hear 1 speaker delivering a monologue in part 2. Then we hear a conversation between 2 or more speakers in part 3. And finally, we hear 1 speaker delivering a monologue in part 4. How many times will you hear the recording? Only once. You will be given time to read through the questions, and you will be given time to check your answers. Now let's see the context. Is the listening test of the same level of difficulty throughout? No. It starts with easier questions and then moves on to more difficult ones. Now let's see what happens at the end of the test. You will be given 2 minutes to check your answer. This is the time to check your spelling, to check how well you followed the instructions, and to check your grammatical fit. Let's see how much you remember already. There are 4 sentences here with gaps. Please pause the lesson, fill in the gaps, and then restart the lesson to check as I share the answers. Okay, welcome back. So let's check the answers together. There are exactly 4 parts, and there are 40 questions. The recordings are about 30 minutes long, and you will hear them only once. And here is some additional information. Each question carries 1 mark, and the listening test is the same for both academic and general training IELTS. You will hear a variety of accents, including British, Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, or American. In your preparation for the IELTS test, do practice listening to a variety of accents. Now let's see the question types used. Do you know what these are? Can you identify them? I will show them one by one. So the first example here is exactly multiple choice. This is an example of labeling. Well done. What question type is this? Exactly, completion. And in this particular case, sentence completion. Here we see an example of short answer questions. And finally, an example of matching. Well done. Let's remind ourselves of how many speakers or different voices you will hear in these 4 parts. So, 2 speakers in part 1, 1 speaker in part 2, a conversation between 2 or 3 people in part 3, and 1 speaker for the monologue in part 4. Now let's see some typical scenarios you might encounter in parts 1 and 2. In part 1, 2 speakers may engage in some of the following conversations. Let's have a look. Booking a hotel room, for example, or making a reservation, buying tickets, arranging transportation, getting information about, for example, different courses, looking for a part-time job, maybe opening a bank account, or getting some travel information. In part 2, 1 speaker will talk about local facilities, so let's see some typical examples. A guide giving a tour of an estate, for example, a park, welcoming people on a boat trip tour, talking about local facilities, sharing information about perhaps a company, explaining how to get around a town or a city, or maybe telling us about a charity. Now let's see the context for parts 3 and 4. In part 3, you will hear a conversation mainly between 2 people facilitated by a third person, which is set in an educational or a training context. For example, you may hear a university tutor and a student who are discussing an assignment. And in the final part, 1 speaker will deliver a monologue on an academic subject, and so for example, a university lecture. So please note here the shift from everyday situations in parts 1 and 2 to more academic ones in parts 3 and 4. Let's see what is tested in IELTS listening. You'll be listening for factual information, so numbers, names, dates, times, main ideas, or opinions and attitudes of 1 speaker or multiple speakers. Let's see what can help. So there will be time given before the recording starts, so please use this time effectively. Use prediction. Listen actively. And do look for our other lessons on listening on teamiles.com that deal with all of these strategies in more detail and with lots and lots of listening practice. Thank you for watching this lesson. Let's go through some top tips for IELTS listening. So, you will be given time to read the questions, so use this time effectively. Think about the context. Use prediction. Use the additional 2 minutes given at the end to review your answers. As we said, check your spelling, check your grammatical fit. Have plenty of practice in all question types we've mentioned. Listen to a variety of different accents so that you're fully prepared for the test day. Try watching short videos, podcasts, or news clips from different English-speaking countries and focus on how words are pronounced in each of these accents. And now, as promised, a short quiz. Please pause the lesson now and look at the statements and the sentence on the slide. Decide if the statements are true or false, and then complete the sentence below. Okay, let's check the answers. So the first statement is true. Yes, it is the same for both academic and general training IELTS. The second statement is false because there are 4 parts. The recording is played only once, so this statement is true. And are all 4 parts of the same level of difficulty? No. The questions get progressively more difficult, which means that this statement is false. Let's check our sentence now. How much time will you be given to check your answers in IELTS on computer? 2 minutes. Well done. Okay, let me put my camera back on. And let's see. For more help as you prepare for your IELTS test, please check out our other helpful resources because we have lesson packs for all sections of the IELTS test, packs to help you with your vocabulary and grammar as well, and blogs with useful advice and information about every aspect of the test. We really hope to see you there. Good luck with your IELTS test preparation. Bye.